Hey guys, Holly Warner here, coming to you talking to you a little bit about carnivore and seasonal eating. So you're probably thinking, hang on a second, isn't carnivore just carnivore? Like, why would I be seasonally eating? That makes zero sense, because don't I just eat meat basically all of the time? Not so much. Let me tell you why. Okay, so here's the scoop. I live in Canada. We have snow. I know, it's up north, it's cold. What was I thinking? What happens when the snow melts? In the spring. Snow mold, snow mold, snow mold. It is dreaded, just horrible snow mold. You get all of the mold and all of the gunk and the ick and the ugh that's been underneath the snow all winter long, and the snow melts and everything goes in the air, and anyone who's had a little bit of histamine building up in that glass, it's now going to overflow. Wait a minute. I thought that a low oxalate carnivore diet was meant to prevent me from having all of these issues with allergies and histamine and reactions and whatever the case may be. So why are you telling me that I have a histamine bucket that might overflow? Okay, so let's talk about histamine foods. What are you eating on carnivore? You're eating meat and animal products. Well, what if I told you that bacon, ham, sausage, pork in general, smoked, anything smoked, so smoked salmon, all of those things are high histamine. They are going to create a histamine reaction. Now, when you're eating predominantly meat and there's not really anything else in this bucket, it's not that big a deal until you throw something else into the mix. And that something else this season in the spring, right before summer hits, as the snow melts, does tend to be snow mold. Now, for those of you in other regions that maybe perhaps are around trees that are blooming and snow isn't really an issue, you have other types of allergies. You have other type of seasonal triggers, and those seasonal triggers are going to act in the same way. So you have that bucket that's filled to the brim, and then you add a couple more drops, it overflows. So now we need to bring down everything in that histamine bucket. So that means looking at removing certain foods. It doesn't mean forever, guys. It just means spring cleanup. You're spring cleaning your histamines out of your body and lowering the amount that you're putting back into your body. So some people have issues, genetically speaking, with DAO, diamine oxidase. I'll put a little slide up that spells that right here. So you can supplement with that. You tend to have to get it from a practitioner like myself, or you can eat foods that are rich in that. Now, what this enzyme does is degrades histamine in the gut, although produced in the small intestine and the kidneys. And the kidneys, yes, I said kidneys, which means that if you don't want to supplement, because I know a lot of carnivores out there really don't feel like adding in, what's the point of carnivore if I still got to take a bunch of crap? Well, you can eat kidney. It's got a strong taste to it. So if you're not a big fan of things that are high potency taste factor, maybe you're going to want to supplement instead. I do make my own. I just dehydrate some, grind them up and pop them. Or you can order some. There's companies out there that do sell kidney supplements. So that's going to help to increase that particular enzyme, the DAO, to help to degrade the histamine in the gut, and then avoid things that are high in histamine. So I'm going to put a little list. So as you can see on that list, there are things like bacon, there are things like sausage, any cured meats, anything that's pork. These things are high in histamine. Smoked meats, that goes for fish as well. So that smoked salmon, you're going to want to opt out to something a little bit lighter, spring-like, perhaps like raw salmon or just wild caught, not the farmed. You can opt for other fishes, consume them. Now is a great time for lighter fare. We don't want to be as heavy, and the warming and grounding foods of winter are now turning into light spring and summer foods. And instead of reaching for a salad, perhaps I'm going to reach for more fish or eggs, cooler foods. Something else to note is that to reduce that histamine load, and I'm going to do a second video that's really going to go into detail. So make sure you click that button up there, the little bell, hit subscribe down below, hit the bell up above. Maybe it's on that side, I'm not quite sure. One of the sides has the bell, hit the bell so you get notified when number 2 comes out, because I'm going to go into more details of the histamine aspect of carnivore with some dietary listings. But things to think about if you have mast cell activation, histamine reactions, something along those lines, and you're doing carnivore to kind of alleviate that, you're going to want to be aware that if you do cook ground beef, cook everything up at once and throw it in the freezer. And then when it comes time to use your patties, heat it up. If you have leftovers, you cook too much, don't put them in the fridge, put it in the freezer and then heat it up the next day. This is an important part to keeping those histamines low. You want to eat local, you want to watch any of the high histamine foods. So you're looking at the oxalates, you're looking at the histamines and you're going, holy crap, can I eat anything? Absolutely. You can have fish eggs, those are fantastic. You got your omegas in there, your perfect ratio of your EPA to DHEA. You want to have a little bit more EPA, that's super good for you. You're going to get what you need in a lighter feeling food. So you're not reaching for salad, you're just eating lighter meats. You're still going to have a steak. But in the spring, I find people transition for the thick, hearty, fatty cuts of meat in winter that were warming and grounding for the winter months, and they transition into summer. But just before we get to summer where it's barbecue season and we're back into those steaks again, people tend to want something lighter. And I see a lot of people transition into chicken or pork. So we're gonna avoid the pork. We're gonna watch that bacon. If you think you're doing okay and you're not really reacting too much and you got that DAO boosted, then perhaps you can have bacon on the weekends. But don't do bacon sandwiches every day with a side of bacon washed down with some bacon juice. So watch the bacon, folks. Freeze it. If you're gonna have more than enough, you wanna use it tomorrow, make sure you freeze it. That's also important. Again, tune in for number 2, coming out probably tomorrow. I will go into more details about the histamine foods, what to do, what not to do, and how to do it. Hopefully this was eye-opening for all you guys watching, because yes, even carnivore can be seasonally adapted. The dogs are going crazy. I'm gonna go and find out who's trying to break into my house.